Hail and well met, free creatures and gentle beings. Today we're going to take a look at my elf collection. This has kind of been my major collecting project over the past few years, and one that I have always wanted to tackle and finally had the opportunity and the means. So here we go. So these are primarily focused on the 1987 Jez Goodwin Elves. At that time, the elf line was unified, so they came on cards that just said elf. And at the time, there were also orc and dwarf lines. And what we have here are the horses. So a lot of these come from some of them come from the Melnibonéans. So the Games Workshop and Citadel had the license to do miniatures for the Elric of Melniboné, like Michael Moorcock based RPG Stormbringer. And when they lost that license, a lot of the Melnibonéans, which were also sculpted by Jez Goodwin same year, got folded into the elf range, and we'll see that as we go along. And then the other horses I have here are Mark Copplestone, Grenadier, Fantasy Warriors, still available from EM4, Forlorn Hope, Merliton SG. I say this so much that I can't even keep track of whether I've said it or not, but tip of the hat to Ian on Instagram for reminding me the last time I missed it on a post. I do appreciate that. And all right, so let's start with some of those Melnibonéans I was talking about. So the Melnibonéans have a pretty cohesive aesthetic. You'll see that they've got these sick helmets. If you're familiar with Road Trader Eldar, you might recognize one of them ended up with kind of a Melnibonéan horned helmet. He looks pretty strange next to the other elves, but I really dig how dark and spooky these guys are. So there's the two sculpts with swords. I think I have all of the mounted ones. I might be missing one or two, but one with an axe. And you can see this one has like a little crest above his mask. This one does not have the crest above his mask. And this one has the horns. So as we go through the Melnibonéan line, basically those three helmets are going to repeat. We're going to see those over and over again. And I'm not sure if these were, if at some point somebody, because the elbows look kind of natural, but like each of these are the same, it's the same sculpt, but with a sword in either over the head or being brandished. I guess those are different sculpts. So those are the Melnibonéan cavalry with hand weapons. And for purposes of comparison, I also have one of the high elf cavalry with hand weapons from the same era. And I think they're gonna ride together, ride or die. All right. And our other options, and once again we'll see the helmet variety. On these I've only got two of the skull and one with the crest, I guess. Thought I had more of the lance guys, but here we are. And now in addition to the Melniboneans, some of the high elves have kind of an interesting face mask there. So I'm running these guys, these two, same sculpt. And they came from eBay with the unclipped, it was unopened, plastic lances, and our original late 80s Citadel Warhammer Fantasy shields that go on this knob. A lot of the miniatures in this range have the knob. And then these spears are used for some of the cavalry models with lances, but also they made foot troops. These came painted from France. I don't remember what the eBay seller was, but I did some business with them. I like the shield transfer and the painting. Looks pretty cool. I'm gonna strip them, but they look cool. Now I also have a unit of Melnibonean spearmen. So this is a high elf champion with a spear. I love his helmet there. And he's gonna lead this unit. Now, we have a couple more variations with these guys because we have some bear helmeted guys. And you'll see one of these mounted spear guys is actually just one of the foot spear guys with the tab cut off. And he fits just about right on that horse once you file down the bottom of his tunic. So we cheated and got a foot guy to go on a horse. And so yeah, these are going to be the same helmets you've seen. And then we have some bear-headed sculpts. I've got 3 of this guy with the kind of crown, and then 1 of this guy. I really like this guy with the braids down the side. So that's going to be my heavy guard unit with a hero. Speaking of heroes, I have so I said I had some, let me do these first before I do the heroes. So I have, so these obviously very stylistically compatible horses go to these Grenadier Mark Copplestone Wood Elves. So I've got my light cavalry here, and I did a little conversion. I had 2 of the sculpt with the banner, so I was able to cut off the arms and remove that sword from the leg there and replace it with plastic Oathmark elf arms. So there's that. And that's my light cavalry. Okay, so I've got a general, and he's probably ultimately, I'm trying to decide what I'm gonna do to get him a dragon to ride, but he's got such a sick horse. I feel like, I don't know, it's great mounted general. And then I have 2 mounted elf wizards, and I like this guy has a hand theme, and this guy has a sphere and a wand. And I'm kind of thinking, are those in focus? I'm kind of thinking sort of a switcheroo, have like a Saruman type wizard with a red hand instead of a white hand, and then sort of a Sauron type guy. These are not your not your Peter Jackson's Elves, but I do want to have some Lord of the Rings kind of nods to them, because they're gonna, in like Oathmark or Dragon Rampant, they can go alongside orcs and goblins, which I think I kind of want to do, and have some kind of sinister elves, because like the Melnibonéans, like with their crazy skull helmets, I mean, they look kind of like bad guys, or at least sort of suspicious. And I thought I could do like a red hand, a white eye, as opposed to the red eye, white hand, and have this kind of be like Sauron and Saruman, and then also have some orcs and goblins for them to ally with. Although you're gonna see, I think I worked it out. I think it's like 3,500 points. I went a little crazy on eBay. I can't be trusted. So this is the hero that's going to lead the light cavalry. Sorry, I'm flipping back and forth to the Mark Cobblestone Fantasy Warriors. I think that's all of the Mark Cobblestone I have in this batch. So, while I move on here to a somewhat renowned regiment, you might say. You might say that these are and anything you see painted here came from eBay like that. I think whoever did these four tried to do a pretty good job of matching the paint scheme on the box. I think they did a pretty good job. So these are going to be all of there's 8 poses for, Scarlock's Wood Elf Archers. This is the command section. These are the archers, the titular archers. So a lot of these have the same kind of dolly, and then they have like a slight variation. So this guy's got a helmet, this guy's got a ponytail. This guy has a hood, and then the elf braid and hair. These two are kind of drawing their bows, arrows. These are about to draw from their quivers. So the guy's got little head things, a lot of tiaras on these elves. Okay, so I've got Scarlock, the captain. I've got the musician as well. I think he has a name, but I don't actually remember his name. What I do remember, we have Glam the Laughing Warrior. So he's like the proto war dancer. And I got this one on eBay. His face had kind of been rubbed off. So I gave him a bandana. And then this arm with the severed head kind of matches the cover. I don't have the box, but he's holding up a severed head. It's a orc head on the box, so I might paint it green or something. But yeah, so I had to do a little converting because his arm had been chopped off. I had to kind of replace some of the shoulder there, and it's kind of the first time I played around with green stuff, and it turned out pretty good. And then Kyra, no, I can't remember, but this is the standard bearer / musician. So this one was also broken. The top of the staff had come off, so I pinned it and filled it in the gap with green stuff. Did some super glue and used baking soda to quick dry this super glue. So it's kind of like a blob, but her hair, if you see the sculpt, this sculpt is incredible. The hair flows into, there's like some greenery on here. So I was thinking about doing maybe like some turnip 28 style throw some static grass and basing stuff on there to kind of distract from the giant blob. But I got it a lot cheaper than I would have otherwise, and it was a fun project. I had to get a Dremel, or like a little hand pen vise, to do the pinning, and yeah, it was a nice little modeling project. So I was able to collect, I have 2 of each of these sculpts of the 8 sculpts of the archers, and then 1 each of the command. So a full regiment of 20. So now we're going to move into, ooh, that's going to be ugly. So let's talk about several of these. Go back a little bit further. So we've got the Old Citadel Lord of the Rings range. These also came from that French eBay seller. And so you've got Noldor, Sindar, and Bosun. Wait, that's another Scarlock guy, isn't it? Well, the point is, some of these guys are from the old Lord of the Rings range, and they got pulled into the elf range as well. Because why let perfectly good miniatures molds go to waste? That's a question that only Games Workshop can answer. Now these guys, I'm going to put them in the unit with the spears as kind of skirmishers, but I think this guy might be a war dancer, and this guy might be in the regular range, or they might both be in the war dancer range. I can't recall, but the mask guy definitely is. So some throwing spear guys. Try to stay a little organized here. Yeah, so I've got several units of archers, and these are going to be this unit I'm about to show you is going to be mostly Marauder Wood Elves. So Marauder miniatures, and I'll have a visual aid from my blister pack collection. Marauder miniatures, there were several kind of, at one point in the 80s, they were doing kind of like, oh, there's another Lord of the Rings. That's a Sylvan elf. And I've got one just good one archer other than the Scarlock's archers and the Lord of the Rings archers. So, I like that guy. We've got, these are Marauder Wood Elves, and they had sort of sublines for a while. It was like Bob Ollie had Iron Claw, Nick Lund had Chronicle before he came to Citadel, I think, but now I'm completely blanking on the sculptors. I think the Morrisons. I think it was the Morrisons. Ali Morrison and now Trish Carden. But these definitely have more of a indigenous American sort of flavor, and lots of mohawks. I mean, that goes along with it. But the female sculpts are nice. These guys just look like super brave native frontier warriors, and they are. So that's going to be one of my archer units, probably a scout type unit. And now we get to talk about war dancers. So war dancers are so iconic. Jess Goodwin was really going nuts in 1987, 1988. So these, he did the Melnibonians, he did all these elves, including these war dancers. And he did the Road Trader Eldar, which he basically completely set the aesthetics of Eldar forever. Like the Jez Goodwin Eldar is essentially unchanged to this day. So before we get too far away from Marauder, they made Sea Elves, and these are Sea Elf War Dancers, because in Warhammer Armies for 3rd edition, Sea Elves could have War Dancers, and then the Sea Elves eventually got folded into the High Elves. But once again, we're dealing with kind of variations on different dollies, I think is the appropriate term. So we'll see these two guys. I think Guahir is his name, with the chainmail mask. That is so sick. Like, that is, like, imagine you're going to see a band and they look like that. That would be awesome. And then imagine an elf is trying to kill you and he looks like that, and he's flips over your head and stabs you in the back. War Dancers are fucking cool, man. They're really cool. And these two guys are a little more barbarian coded, but just the idea of these, like, wild, like, just the insane creativity. I mean, clearly the Harlequins for 40k are also going to be from this same burst of creativity, and obviously these are sort of upstream from them. So you can see these, we got some throwing spear guys, and utilizes the same basic, I keep saying dolly, I'm pretty sure that's the right term. And so there's those three, and these are the female coded ones, and they have masks. They're very, very harlequin-y, excuse me, and a sword on the end of a spear to sword spearhead, and a two-handed sword and two one-handed swords. Great variety of weapons with the War Dancers, and we're doing very, so the aesthetic of the Wood Elves, and particularly the War Dancers, is, you see like the spiky hair, you see the when you see painted ones with war paint, like blue woad, I think is what it's called, when the Picts did it. And so it's like a Gaelic aesthetic, but it's also very punk. So it's influenced by 2000 AD. There's like, I'm gonna say Slain. I don't know anything about Gaelic except that you're not supposed to pronounce it by just saying what the letters would indicate. So this is not a War Dancer here, because around the same time, Jez Goodwin, just one of the greatest, he was also doing the Realm of Chaos. He was doing the Chaos Champions, like some of the most iconic miniatures, just in a 3-year period, basically. What a beast. So this is the Blitzer from a Wood Elf team that Jez Goodwin did, and then later Gary Morley, who did the later Wood Elves, did the 2nd edition Blood Bowl team, I think it was. I think 1st edition was the Jez Goodwin ones that this one belongs to. And he just looks like, he looks tough enough to show up to a war and beat people to death. Like, he doesn't need a weapon. He's got that chainmail mask as well. That's so sick and disturbing. Oh, I forgot I had a little bits. So sorry, jumping way back. This is a little out of order, but the heroes, so like the general, the wizards, the mounted characters all come with little bonus doodads to attach to their saddles. So I was very fortunate that mine all came with their goodies. So I got those. I think we're done with this box. All right, we've had a break from the Melnibonéans. Let's go back to the Melnibonéans. So it took me a long time because I have a tendency, if I know I'm going to like something, to just put it off. So I didn't actually read Michael Moorcock until very recently. I'd made some attempts a long time ago, but yeah, obviously Michael Moorcock is incredible. The Elric stories. I need to pick around in the other Eternal Champion series, because these are technically, these go, they cover the whole, primarily Elric, but they do technically cover the whole range of Eternal Champion. So like it's Saga, and yeah, I dig it. So we got some, I believe these are all Jez Goodwin. Got some old Lord of the Rings elves. I think is Scarlocks. I believe that's Jez Goodwin elf. Nope, that's a Marauder. Okay, so we got some Marauder elves. The style is very similar. They go together really well. And now we're back. These are the Melnibonéans. It's another Marauder elf. So we have a guy with the helmet we've seen before. About this guy with a kind of a face diaper, reminds me of like early 90s, like X-Force, X-Factor, Marvel Comics. Everybody had a diaper on their head for some reason, but it looked cool at the time, so we believed. And this guy shows a slight variation. So he's got the kind of skull face, sorry, it's out of focus, kind of a skull face mask, but it's popped up so he can get a better view with his bow. It always kind of looks silly when you have guys with narrow slits trying to shoot a bow. Might as well do it with your eyes closed, but I guess if you're a Zen archer, maybe in Melniboné they are. So, speaking of Melniboné continuously, there are also, so I've shown you the archers, the cavalry, and the warriors. If you're going to collect these for yourself, be careful. Sorry, I moved the freaking thing. Because they're expensive. So shop around. But there's something maybe you can take advantage of it though, if you don't mind. Because these swords and knives are very brittle. So if you're willing to pen the weapons, and that's like a penning is a technique. You can look it up. I don't have to explain to you. It's not relevant right now. But you could probably get these cheaper if you get the ones that are broken and fix them. So that's an option you have. And again, you'll see, the basic poses given different helmets and heads and weapons. Melnibonéans. One more of those guys. No. Let's see if I had diaper. Yeah. And then I also had a couple warriors and war dancers that ended up in a different unit. So these are technically, I think this one's a war dancer and this one's just a high elf warrior. But got it in kind of a heavy infantry unit. And I think we'll round off the Almedonans with, these are from the Eternal Champion box set. Divim Tvar, the admiral who fights alongside Elric, Dragon Prince, Ymir, Morcock, man, it's cool stuff. And his evil cousin, Prince, he starts with 2 Ys. Anyway, these are the Eternal Champion miniatures. They have other ones from, more parts of the saga. This guy is another example of why you have to be careful. I don't know why somebody filed down this helmet to make it not pointy. I think I'm gonna take like a boar crest. I've got plenty of those from like Oathmark dwarves. Put a boar crest on it because everybody's feeling a boar crest. Everybody's a little bit Celtic, Gaelic, punk. And then we've got a few more warriors. So this one's another marauder elf. And these are mostly going to be just good one as well. All right, so this guy is another one of those Lord of the Rings elves. We've got, these are a lot of the elf. This one's Lord of the Rings as well. Love that guy. Any of the ones that have like the braid like that are super cool, in my opinion. We've got, I also like to get a variety of weapons. I like elves with axes. I don't know, it just seems cool. I think there's references to the Elves of Gondolin having, we've already seen this guy. I got a second one by mistake. He's gonna foul out this unit though. So these 3 are gonna be the last of the unpainted ones. I gotta strip the ones that are painted, get these primed. I hate priming. It's my least favorite thing to do. Because these guys are going to join the elves, again, back to the Mark Copplestone elves. So these guys are going to be in similar colors when I'm finished with them. So we're going to do the turquoise skin and all the crazy colors and patterns and stuff. It's going to be real fun. Stay tuned. And I think that's all I have for you today. Well, good luck on your further adventures, my friends, and I will see you in the next one. Farewell.